The Samsung T7 SSD will not work with your Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera. Let's look at some of your options.
Nature doesn't wait for you. Nature doesn't wait for anyone. Nature is there, and it happens, no matter if you are there or not. If you want to capture that perfect shot, you have to script, plan, rig up, and execute. You have to be on top of the weather forecast, you have to be on top of location scouting. You basically have to be on top of everything. If not, your footage might not look like this, but more like this.
Oi. Oh. Wow. That was quite a dramatic opening, but imagine filming a wedding. Now, good luck explaining to the newlywed that you don't have any footage because you didn't know what you were doing. The short version of this video is that the Samsung T7 SSD drive, solid state drive SSD, does not work with your Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, no matter how much you try. According to Blackmagic forums, the T7 is known to not work. According to Samsung, the T7 should be able to do anything that the T5 can. Now let's get into the storage media options. On the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K, which we're looking at today, you have the option to use SD cards, CFast cards, SSD, or external recorders. Now this goes for the whole lineup, the 6K and the 6K Pro. They also come with these options. So when you decide what you want to go for, there's several aspects you need to consider, like price, ease of use, and availability. Let's look at speed first. The highest load a 4K 30p shot will transfer to your storage on the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K shooting Blackmagic RAW constant quality Q0 is 102 megabytes per second to 203 megabytes per second. On the 6K Blackmagic RAW constant quality Q0, we are looking at 242 megabytes per second to 483 megabytes per second. Now on the 4K shooting 30p, you're relatively safe. 203 megabytes isn't really an incredibly high load. However, the 483 megabytes is on the upper range of what the CFast card can handle. Now, Robert Niessner, sorry for mispronouncing that, also made a handy chart where you can check what's required for many recording options for the 6K and the 4K alongside some Ursa Mini models. Let's look at what speed the different options give us. An ANGELBIRD AV Pro SD Mark II V90, which is suited for video, gives you a write speed of 280 megabytes per second. An ANGELBIRD AV Pro CFast 2.0 gives you a write speed of 450 to 500. So here you can see how that 483 megabytes per second comes into play. A Samsung T5, however, gives you an advertised transfer speed of 540 megabytes per second. A Samsung T7 SSD gives you an advertised sequential transfer speed of 1000 megabytes per second. Now for this comparison, I'll look at a 512 gigabyte storage option because that's the lowest storage option that Samsung offers for the T5 and the T7. I'll also use ANGELBIRD's cards as they are high-end options for both SD and CFast. However, there are cheaper alternatives there in the world of cards. Blackmagic Design recommends SD UHS 2 V90 cards. I wasn't able to find 512 gigabyte UHS 2 V90 SD cards, so let's look at two 512 gigabyte cards. An ANGELBIRD 256 AV Pro Mark II UHS to SD XC is $399. Now, since we are going to need two of those, that gives us $798. If you need an SD card reader, that's another 25 bucks. So total $800 to $825. An ANGELBIRD 512 AV Pro CFast 2 512 gigabytes is $530. You also need a CFast card reader, and these retail for around $100. So that's a total of $630. Now a Samsung T5 512 gigabytes is $80. But to get the T5 on your camera, you'll need to invest in something like a small rig Samsung T5 SSD mount. That's another $27. Alternatively, the small rig universal holder for external SSDs. That's good to have if you mix and match different SSDs or if you just want to be a bit versatile in the future. And that's around 40 bucks as well. So a cable clamp, of course, a cage and a half cage or a half cage, depending on your needs. And cage will likely set you back $80, $90. And the cable clamp, the HDMI and USB-C cable clamp, roughly $25, $26. So the total here then is $263. So it's quite obvious that from a price standpoint, external SSDs make a lot of sense. At a third of the price of SD cards and half of CFast cards, you get more data per dollar. But don't push that purchase button just yet. We have to talk about functionality and compatibility. Cards are, in my opinion, most likely physics and gravity's opinion as well, the safest option when it comes to storage. They live safely behind the door of your camera, and you can rely on this media. I have never had a card fail on me. Now, external SSDs are cheaper, I'll give you that, but you're also more likely to damage your footage. Having an external cable outside of the body, it's just an extra factor. And I mean, if you should take that risk or not, that's totally up to you. I've seen many cinematographers shoot with SSDs, so that's fine. I mean, there are many ways to do this, and it's usually quite safe. There are two differences between the Samsung T5 and the T7. Now, the T7 is advertised to be twice as fast, but the T7 doesn't work with your Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera. So it's quite obvious which one you should get. You might ask why Blackmagic hasn't done anything about this, but of course this isn't Blackmagic's fault, I think. I contacted Samsung support and asked why the T7 does not record video when it's twice as fast. First, I talked to general support, and when the operator was done with his default link dropping and saying that the only difference was the speed, he took an extra look at my question and then he said, "I'm sorry, I work in sales." After a bit of back and forth with support, where we tried formatting the drive on the camera itself, different cables, they agreed to take it in for repair under warranty. Now, the only problem with Samsung's warranty is that you have to pay for shipping, both ways. So for an $80 SSD, we're looking at maybe $60 in shipping. At first I was like, yeah, for science, let's do it. But if shipping is the same price as buying a new SSD, it's not really worth it. Now, according to tech support, the T7 should be able to do exactly what the T5 can do. It would be interesting to see if they could get my T7 to work. Maybe I should just ask them if they can get any T7 to work with a camera. So if they take the camera in, maybe they can have a look. Now, don't get me wrong, Samsung support, they've been very helpful so far, but having to pay twice for the drive just isn't worth it. So far, according to Samsung, the T7 should work. According to everyone on the forums and myself, it sure doesn't. The T7 is not on Blackmagic Design's list of accepted media. Now, the T7 is fast for normal users. Like most users of this drive will not use it for video production, I would assume. Now, but the T5 has been widely adopted by filmmakers. Now, running Blackmagic Design's drive speed tests confirms that the T7 runs at high speed and can indeed record anything in 2K 60p. If you're watching this Blackmagic, please consider adding 4K and 6K support. Even though there are green check marks everywhere, I've not been able to record a single frame on the T7 so far. So what should you do? Well, if there's no way to get the T7 to record, the option is to revert to the T5, but you have to act fast. The T5 is discontinued, so whatever's in stock now is what's left. Now, there are other options though. You can go to Blackmagic's list of supported media. Here's an overview of the drives. The ANGELBIRD SSD to go, Delkin Juggler, the G-Drive Mobile SSD, Lazy Rugged SSD, the Wise PTS, the Glyph Atom SSD, SanDisk Extreme Portable SSD Pro, Seagate Fast SSD. Now, Blackmagic also suggests you use either a CFast or an SSD because they are generally faster than SD. So there are plenty of options out there. The T7 is just not one of them. If you don't shoot on Q0, but you stay at the also mighty powerful 3:1 or all the way up to 12:1, depending on your needs, you'll most likely be just fine. If you want to work with an SSD, use one of the options we looked at today. And do make sure that you research if your device will work on your camera. If you want to pick up one of these, I'll have affiliate links in the description, so it's easy for you to find them. If you have any comments, questions, agreements, or disagreements, please share. This journey is in its beginning. Till next time, happy filming. I think I'll just keep the CFast card in here. Bye.